hell are we doing, Blake? What do we do? What is it?
Okay,
What do we?
let's before we jump into all this, let's set the groundwork for what exactly we're doing. We are going to draft each of our top 10 Black Sabbath songs.
Okay, I can get behind that. Okay, so who goes first? You want to rock, paper, scissors?
You can go first.
You're letting me go first?
Blake's feeling confident. So.
Okay. I have to go the number one Black Sabbath song of all time, Under the Sun from Volume 4. It has everything. It has the riff. It has that outro. It is epic. I think Under the Sun from Volume 4, I think if I had to pick one song that, nobody has ever heard Black Sabbath before, Under the Sun is what I'm going with.
So I didn't put that in my top 20.
Unconventional choice, I know. So, okay, that's my opening round, dude. What you got next?
So I am going to go with perhaps the most important Black Sabbath song, and that would be Children of the Grave. Okay. So
why that one? That's an odd choice.
Yeah. So there are other songs that you could definitely say like created metal as a whole. We won't go into that yet because I'm sure those songs will be chosen. Children of the Grave, I see as the roots of both stoner and doom music. She was one of the first songs ever to really emphasize down tuning. I haven't played in standard tuning since I was probably 13 years old.
Right, yeah.
And so Children of the Grave is just so massively important to who I am as a musician. And I think it's really important to a lot of people who are patrons of what we do here. So not only is it a personal choice, but I'm also 100% pandering.
Okay. But that's fine. It's just what I'm worried about is I kind of agree with you here. I for a lot of reasons, I think a very young Steve Harris heard Children of the Grave and he heard that dun, 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 and power metal. I think Children of the Grave, power metal.
No, don't bring that bullshit into this.
Oh, okay. It has its place.
Power metal in a garbage can.
Dude, the idea is to get subscribed. The idea is to you just slagged the whole audience.
Yeah, no, I didn't slag the people who listen to it. I slagged the people who make it.
You mean Man of War?
Yes.
I respect your choice.
This is an interesting moment.
Well, I didn't expect this. I didn't. Okay. I think the greatest riff that Black Sabbath ever wrote, and the one that to me embodies what real heavy metal is all about, would be Into the Void.
Okay. So
again, that's my number two choice. Interestingly, we're both going with Master of Reality here.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had Into the Void as my number 9 choice. So I'm doing okay here.
So that's all. By the way, I almost forgot. I can no longer. So that has to come off my list. Children of the Grave. So, okay, this is where it gets dicey because we cannot repeat.
That's why I chose 20 songs. So there's literally a mathematical impossibility of running out.
I don't want to talk about math.
Fair. Okay.
Next up is Meshuggah. Okay, so it's my turn?
Yeah, I think so. So this is your number 2.
My number 2. Okay, for my number 2, I actually get my number 2 favorite song. And that is without a doubt Sabbath Bloody Sabbath. So I'm really pleased that I got Sabbath Bloody Sabbath as my second choice. I think that Sabbath Bloody Sabbath has maybe the 2 best Sabbath riffs in it, both from the intro and the bridge, where it just really drops down and gets super low and heavy. And yet again here, this one is less of a pandering to the audience, although please do vote for me. Please save yourselves from Scott.
Hold on, ref. Are you going to let him get away with that?
I'm sorry. I thought that you were participating and you weren't the referee, or
I see a penalty flag. I want the referee to weigh in.
Oh gosh, that's not how that works.
It's like all of a sudden you're Trump.
I'll dye myself orange real quick.
No Cheetos.
Anyways, so I love Sabbath Bloody Sabbath. I think it's maybe the best opening song to an album that comes to mind for me, at least. And I'm a real big fan of songs that just like kickstart an album and say, this is what we're doing, and this is where we're going, and this is why this album is important. And I think Sabbath Bloody Sabbath, really just side A of that whole album, is just out of this world. So that's my second choice.
It's one of those songs we call a proof of concept.
Very much so. Very much so.
I'm just disappointed at how much I agree with you. But that's where my number 3 choice gets interesting, because what you brought in as the intro, I take the outro. I think Spiral Architect is Black Sabbath at their most sublime of just lyrically, conceptually. Spiral Architect.
I will say Spiral Architect was in my top 20. So
it's just everything about that song.
All right. Well, I'll go with my. You're just really setting me up here. Am I just going to get through my top 10 Sabbath songs and you're not going to take a single one?
We don't agree on anything. Mathematically, this should be a slam dunk for both of us.
You've taken one in my top 10 so far.
Okay.
So I'm going to go with Sweet Leaf, yet again off of Masters of Reality.
Okay.
So yet again, this one comes down to not just my own love of it, but also I believe its cultural impact. The hallmarks of stoner and doom can all be really traced to 3 songs, 2 of those 3 being Children of the Grave and Sweet Leaf, in my opinion. I think that everything that I would say 98% of the bands we talk about can really be traced to those 2 songs. I think that Sweet Leaf was just so brutally, beautifully heavy in such an original way. And as someone who really values brutality and aggression in music a lot, probably more than either of you, I would say, it's hard to get away from Sweet Leaf.
Yeah, I have to agree. This isn't in my top, the top ones, but I can't argue, I can't argue with it, because Black Sabbath was able to do heavy without going extreme. And
they did it with standard tuning.
They had the writing chops and the understanding musically to where, they could absolutely nail that heavy. So I can't argue with that. But start to finish, I think. Plus, Master of Reality is only 36 minutes long.
Something like that, yeah.
So much history is in there. So I got to throw it to you on that. So far, I'm impressed with your top 10. I disagree. I don't, but I can't. Nothing in here is offensive. I think you've done well, young man. You've done well.
I think we're seeing you guys are actually friends.
No.
Cut that shit out. No.
You know what? I'm out. I'm done. I want no more of this bullshit.
Okay. Number 4, I'm going to go a bit on a limb. I think the scariest I ever felt listening to Black Sabbath was how realistic, reality-based they were. Yeah. I think The Writ off of Sabotage is, again, apex Black Sabbath. And,
I can't disagree with you.
Being a child and having absolutely no clue what in the world The Writ was about.
Text.
And then finding out that it's about their court case. It's about what's going on with the management. And to me, it's chilling, and it still is chilling.
Yeah, yet again, not in my top 20, but I respect the choice.
Yeah, I like how you're talking about how it was frightening when you don't have the context as a child. It could mean anything.
Nothing to say on it.
Very cool. Very great choice.
Okay.
Really respect the choice.
What's your number 4?
So I'm a little surprised this one's still on the board. I actually had this one as my number five, but I'm gonna move it up to number four just because I want to win this and
Okay.
stay conflict from your choice.
Okay.
Like, Pat,
So I'm gonna go with the most important song in the history of metal, and that is Black Sabbath by Black Sabbath off of the album Black Sabbath. This is the song for metal, for heavy rock. Is it brings together so many of the things that I love in music. Not only does it bring all those things together, whether it is occult, whether it is fear and horror, whether it is just heaviness and brutality and spookiness, the devil's triad, things like that. But it was the first fucking song to do all of that all at the same time. Like, if they had done one of those things, Black Sabbath by Black Sabbath off of Black Sabbath would be one of the most important songs of all time. But they did all of it. And so that's why I have to choose that one as my fourth song.
it's a good sampler piece. It's you get a sampling of everything they can do.
And honestly, they get extra points because they did it in standard tuning.
Yeah.
It sounds like something that should be written in like B standard or A standard or some kind of drop tuning of some kind. But no, it's on thin strings on E standard tuning.
I have to agree with you on Black Sabbath by Black Sabbath. I gotta go. Good choice. And what's funny is for my number five, again, I'm pulling off of Black Sabbath, NIB. NIB is a drop the mic moment. You've got one of the very first bass solos, like John Entwistle's credited for My Generation, but Geezer gives us a pentatonic masterclass in how to take a few seconds and fill it up. And then all of a sudden, da-na-na-na, it's like, and then conceptually, we're singing about Satan falling in love. It's like, what if evil's actually good? What if, so then of course, I'm falling in love with all these girls in seventh grade, and it warped my relationship picking attitude. It's just so heavy.
I disagree with that. And I mean, I have no notes on this one. I mean, NIB is just a classic. I mean, it's essential. Like, it's one of those songs that when you think of Sabbath, like if you love Sabbath, like people who've heard Sabbath think of Iron Man.
That's not on my list. I'm telling you right now. Iron Man's
I don't have it all on my list.
I respect you guys. It's not going to be on either.
War Pigs ain't on here.
I really think that NIB is one of those that if you love Sabbath and have spent time with Sabbath, you have a lot to say in terms of how much you love it.
Yes.
Yeah.
When I rediscovered it in my teens, when Primus did it with them, I remember listening to the lyrics and feeling like I might get in trouble for singing the lyrics.
Yeah.
So I just sort of watch what I was doing there. But the storytelling in that song is fantastic.
That song is critical to me refusing to follow through with catechism at Grace Lutheran Church in Fremont, Ohio. That song is what made me question the religion that I was being for. And my parents, God bless them, they totally stood behind me.
Mine was like I got kicked out of Sunday school, so I just didn't have a choice.
At what, the age of 5? God knows what came out of your mouth. Anyway, that's my number 5, so we're halfway through. So far, this is tame.
So I'm going to throw one that was lower on my list, but
okay.
I'm kind of like assembling my list. I think that this song is very important to the full picture of Black Sabbath. Okay. Because when you read like Tony Iommi's biography, I mean, he said this a million times. You don't have to read his relatively dry autobiography, but one of the most important things about Sabbath is the interplay of light and shade. Okay. So far I've done a lot of shade, right?
Okay.
I've got Children of the Grave, I've got Sabbath, Bloody Sabbath, I've got Sweet Leaf, and I've got Black Sabbath. These are just all brutally heavy, dark songs. My fifth choice is going to be Planet Caravan.
Ooh.
Okay. So
Yeah.
the reason that I choose Planet Caravan is on a personal level, it really influenced a lot of things that I've done in music. But I really think that in terms of the light and shade dynamic that is so important to a Black Sabbath album as a whole, I think that Planet Caravan and Orchid are the two best examples of light. I actually prefer Orchid a little bit over Planet Caravan. I just don't think it has enough substance in order to bring it into this conversation fully. Planet Caravan has so much depth and so much originality and so much influence. I mean, think about what they're doing with that kind of like Leslie phase effect on the vocals. Think about how many bands have imitated that. Guilty. I really do think that Planet Caravan is one of those hidden gems that maybe your average listener wouldn't know off the top of their head, but people who yet again love Black Sabbath are going to say, "Oh yeah, Planet Caravan, that song's awesome."
So again, I have to I love the fact that you chose this, and I love why you chose it. It's the first stoner song.
100%.
It's the first heavy metal band stoner song that, you've got the bongos in the background.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
you've got the black light with the fluorescent posters and the ever-present lava lamp. And you just, I swear to God, Planet Caravan got me high years before I ever smelt weed.
Same.
I had no
10, 11
idea.
Years old, and I was like, "Whoa!"
I was so naive. I had no idea the sweet leaf referred to marijuana because I was like 12, right? If it wasn't for Planet Caravan, we would not have Monolord. And I love Monolord because what they've done is they've taken that vocal, the heavy effect vocal, which I usually hate. I don't like affected vocals. I'm a clean singer. I don't care with Monolord.
But Scott, what's your number 6?
My number 6, I am really going to shock and awe. I'm taking a big, huge risk. I think that Never Say Die belongs in the same reverence as the first 5 Black Sabbath albums. I think one of the greatest songs they ever wrote was Over to You. I think Never Say Die is horribly underrated, and I have to say Over to You is one of the heaviest songs that they wrote. They are really throwing a middle finger at the British upper class. It's an anthem to me for working class blue collar folks. So that's going to be my number 6.
So I'm going to take a bigger risk because since you took a risk by choosing...
No comment on Over to You?
Well, you chose like one of the lesser Black Sabbath songs of the Aussie era. So I
disagree with that so profoundly.
It's fine, but it's like, when you, it's like one of those.
You sound whiny right now. You're like whining.
It's really what it is it's one of those albums that if you go into one of those snooty record stores and you go up to the clerk and you're like, "I'd like a copy of Black Sabbath's Never Say Die," they're like, "Oh, you really know Black Sabbath." And that's what you're doing here. You're just trying to show off that you're like, "I like the album that no one else likes." That's nice.
I feel like you're comparing me to Jack Black's character from High Fidelity.
I 100% am.
Pull the beard out so I can do the Jack Black thing. Bullshit. It's a great song. I'm not fronting. I'm not. You're the one that was pandering. I'm not pandering. I'm not pandering.
Okay, Scott. Like, we all know what you're doing.
Are you saying it's all right?
I understand.
Are you accusing Scott of just trying to get people to vote for him?
So I'm going to go with a song that I guarantee is on neither of your top 30 list, but it was the first song that I loved when I was in elementary school by Black Sabbath. I hadn't really dove into Black Sabbath. Like, I don't even think I'd heard like Paranoid or Iron Man or War Pigs or any of the stuff that everyone's heard. This song, I just think, is pure fun. And it represents the other side of the spectrum of a lot of the music that we talk about and write about. And so I'm going to go with St. Vitus Dance.
Yeah. I'm so close to putting that on here. I love that song.
Dude, it's just a good song.
It's a great song.
It's catchy. Like, it's dark, but it's catchy at the same time.
I mean, I obviously, so you think I'm pandering because you've got St. Vitus Bar is opened. That's named after St. Vitus, Wino named St. Vitus after this song. So you're saying I'm pandering to that I'm the person going, oh, you really know your Black Sabbath. It's just a great song, though. It is a perfect pop rock song that it's great.
It's got a hook,
It does.
But at the same time, it still has groove,
I think it's a good example of how heavy music can be accessible.
Yes, I think that's a good point.
It's good as a writer to think about.
Perfect choice. You're really not going to like what are we on now? Number 8?
7.
My 7th song, because I'd like to be contrarian, Dirty Women off of Technical Ecstasy that's just a harsh song. When you realize what Ozzy is singing about, how realistic this is. And Tony Iommi is tearing it up on this song.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, are you trying to win this? Like why do you keep choosing like the songs that, like, what?
Here's the difference between you and I.
Here's your goal.
Here's the difference between you and I.
For the worst 10 songs?
I lived this era. You're basing your opinion is like when you were like 8 or 9 and your older cousin said, ooh, that album sucks. So you go around going, ooh, that album sucks. You're going off of other people's opinion on this. Dirty Women just absolutely fucking kicks ass from beginning to end.
I mean, if there is one thing you can say about me, it's I just do what everyone tells me to do. So you must be right.
So is this a generational difference then on this opinion here?
No, my generation, I like Dirty Women is such an out there call, and I know that, but I have to be true to myself, and it's so politically incorrect. So they come out with Dirty Women, and I love the song.
I'm happy for you.
Fuck you.
All right.
I'm going to go with probably our first basic entry into the catalog. And I'm going to go with War Pigs.
I knew it. I knew that was next.
So the reason that I'm going with War Pigs is multifaceted, okay? I think that War Pigs sets a standard for the way that metal can be a conversation piece. I think it's some of Geezer's most thoughtful work. I'm not saying it's anywhere close to any of Geezer's best work, but it's kind of the entry into the outside world, into metal. Okay. You get your first time that metal is like protest music, that metal has something important to say. And the way that I
guess
overtly, there've been many covert examples, but the overt, that's important. And, I'm not saying that all music necessarily needs to be political. In fact, I a lot of times prefer when my music isn't necessarily political. But I do enjoy the fact that Black Sabbath said, we're getting political and we want you to listen to this and we're going to make it pretty fucking obvious. Go on.
I can't really argue with that. You know, in a lot of ways, War Pigs is a lazy choice. It's an obvious choice, but it's an honest choice. There's so much going on in that song. You're really gonna hate my next one.
I'm sure it's gonna have Dio or some trash like that on it.
No, I don't have Dio on this one. So I got to go with Disturbing the Priest off of Born Again with Ian Gillan. That song is the most blasphemous, so effing heavy, like unremittingly.
That's the most blasphemous song you've ever heard.
No.
No.
You're not listening. You're too busy arguing against this. I think Disturbing the Priest.
I just hear Boomer talk and I just kind of go, I'll wait until my turn.
Boomers hate this album. I don't know why you keep saying Boomer. They hate this album. I think the whole album is grossly underrated.
I will agree with you there.
Grossly underrated. And the fact you have Ian Gillan writing and singing religious commentary like Disturbing the Priest, I think is just epic. It's one of those moments in time. And again, a few gatekeepers said, "Ooh, this album sucks." So the sheeple hated the album. God, it was so dark, so heavy, in a way that the Ozzy era they never went this dark with Ozzy. It's a dark effing album.
I'd say it's the best non-Ozzy involved Sabbath album, actually. That's my
words, yeah.
Okay.
It's probably like, I'd probably put it at like 7 or 8 in the Sabbath catalog. I think because I've already gone with St. Vitus Dance and Planet Caravan, I'm going to go with a little bit more mainstream Sabbath, but still a respectable one, and that is song 1 off of Sabotage, which would be Hole in the Sky.
God damn it. Okay, you stole one of my...
I think that there's nothing that I can say that hasn't already been said about Hole in the Sky. It's a legendary song. It's not a War Pigs or something like that, but I just think that it kicks ass. It's one of those simple things where when I listen to Hole in the Sky, I think, wow, that song makes me want to punch a hole in the wall and scream and do amazing things also. Like, it's destruction and creativity. There's a lot going on in Hole in the Sky.
That song is just, it was my number. You stole my number 10.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's okay. I fill that gap with a quickness.
All right.
I'm sure you do.
Number 9. And by the way, with a grain of salt, I mean, we're talking Black Sabbath, but Fairies Wear Boots off of Paranoid, just the jazzy vibe of the swing of that band. Just, I think it was Henry Rollins pointed out that there's no rhythm section ever that was able to turn on a dime the way Butler and Ward could. Everything about that song is just so damn good.
That's fair.
And it's so it's so dark and heavy and again, real, right? Yeah, because smoking and tripping is all that you do, beware. It's like, but Sabbath was always very anti-heroin, anti-speed, pro-cocaine, yes, pro-marijuana. But man, they didn't pull any punches. So Fairy Wear Boots be my number 9.
I think it's a great choice. It was pretty high up there for me. I just kind of skipped around a little bit to pick some favorites, but I had Fairies Wear Boots. I think that was my number 12 on my list.
Oh, look at that.
We're pretty much unfortunately on the same page for that. So
we're getting along disappointingly well. It's like,
I'm about to screw it up. So
we have to manufacture angst over each other's lists.
All right. Well,
okay. I'm at number 10, right?
You're at number 9.
Number 9.
Okay, then I'm going to go with Wheel of Confusion.
God damn it, you did it again.
I know what that means to you, Scott. I know the first conversation you and I had about that song.
It's literally from beginning to end, it has no flaws.
It has no flaws.
No flaws.
Wheel of Confusion it sets the stage. Like I'm a sucker for a killer opening song. It's hard to top that one. So I also had a feeling you were going to pick it, and I wanted to ruin your day.
Well, you didn't ruin my day. You made my day. I'm not bitter this year. I'm glad. I feel like that's my gift to you.
How generous of you.
Yeah, that goes back though to our first conversation. We talked about that song and we talked about Ultraman.
That's right. We did. This is it. Number 10.
Number 10.
Wicked World from Black Sabbath's first song, Black Sabbath. I think Wicked World the beginning is iconic. And then they go into the jazz swing thing, which I know what Popoff is saying, but then first time I ever headbanged would have been to Wicked World, and just the lyrical content, the political content, the socio content. I think Wicked World, I don't know why it isn't held in more esteem. I think
I can answer that for you.
Okay, go ahead.
I just think the beginning of the song is a little annoying.
A little silly.
Yeah, it feels ridiculous. And I think a lot of people, like, they hear Black Sabbath by Black Sabbath off Black Sabbath, and they're like, yeah. And then they hear Wicked World, and they're like, what the fuck is this? I'm going to go with Snowblind.
Ooh.
This is yet again one of those, well, it just kicks ass. I just think that it is a really fascinating song that every time I listen to it, I hear something new in terms of what they're doing. And I love that.
Totally agree with you here that Snowblind is so simple. What a simple riff. Like, they didn't try too hard. It's so good.
It's the anti-Dio era of Sabbath. Like, everything that they're doing in the Dio era, they're doing the opposite in Snowblind. And I think that's why I love it so much.
So, Gypsy, would you like to, since you kept track, start with Blake, list his top 10?
Children of the Grave, Sabbath, Bloody Sabbath.
Good choices. Good list.
Really good. Sweet Leaf, Black Sabbath, Planet Caravan. This one is Saint. I didn't.
His Dance.
Yeah. Saint Vitus Dance. And then here's where it gets interesting. War Pigs, Hole in the Sky, Wheel of Confusion, and Snowblind.
I know. Yes, I want to win, right? But, and yes, I feel like you played it very safe.
The reasoning that I went with so many of those songs is because of their impact on the bands that I love and on myself. So,
yeah, you're coming at it very much from a musician's perspective.
Very much so.
Okay, Scott, ready?
Yeah, I would like to say I would say the same thing.
No, I don't think so. I think you come from a listener's perspective, and I'm right in the middle. I mean, not to say that you're not taking into consideration the musicianship, but you are a listener. You are listening. You are listening to then communicate. That's how I see you.
Okay, I just don't want to cede any ground to this millennial poser. Anyway, my list. Let's remind me and everybody else.
All right, Scott's list: Under the Sun, Into the Void, Spiral Architect, The Writ, and then NIB, which is the only song I care about. Let's see my handwriting again. Over to You. Is that right? Dirty Women, Disturbing the Priest, Fairies Wear Boots, and Wicked World. These are good. I'm going to want to listen to them kind of side by side. I think both of these lists are comprehensive introductions to people who maybe aren't very versed.
I think it's two sides, one coin.
I was happy to ref because I didn't want to do this. I'm like, and I don't want to.
Yeah.
else.
It was a lot of work.
It's like, so we have now ventured into that land. Like, we dare to put out our top 10 Black Sabbath, and we do 2 top 10s at the same time. So this is either going to kill the channel forever and we'll lose subs, or hopefully we can introduce people to a different way of listening. That's, to me, that's the goal, is to encourage people not to agree or disagree, although you need to vote. You need to vote. Do you go with Blake or do you go with mine? That's it. Gypsy, thanks. I'm sorry we were so tame. You didn't have to do much.
You guys, I never felt like I was going to have to, sit someone down and have a discussion.